Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell you one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories in history, the mystery of the Titanic. You've probably heard about the Titanic before. Maybe you've seen the famous movie or read about it in books. But I promise you, after listening to this, you will feel like you're hearing this story for the first time. I'm going to tell you everything in great detail, and some things might even surprise you. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of the Titanic. By the end of this story, you will not only learn about the Titanic but also improve your English skills. The Titanic was not just a ship. It was a dream, a symbol of luxury, success, and human achievement. Let's go back to the early 1900s, when ships were the main way to travel across oceans. At that time, two shipping companies, White Star Line and Cunard Line, were competing to build the best and most luxurious ships in the world. Cunard Line had two fast and famous ships, Lusitania and Mauretania. These ships were fast, but White Star Line wanted to do something different. They didn't just want speed, they wanted luxury, comfort, and size. White Star Line decided to build three ships that would be the largest and most luxurious in the world: Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic. Out of these, Titanic became the most famous, but not for the reasons the company hoped. The Titanic was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland, by a shipbuilding company called Harland and Wolff. Construction started in March 1909 and took almost 3 years to complete. Thousands of workers worked day and night to build this giant ship. It was 882 feet, 269 meters, long and 175 feet, 53 meters, tall. Imagine this. The Titanic was almost the size of 3 football fields placed end to end. Now, let's talk about why the Titanic was called Unsinkable. The ship had 16 watertight compartments, and the engineers believed that even if 4 of these compartments filled with water, the ship would still float. This technology was so advanced at the time that people thought it was impossible for the Titanic to sink. The vice president of White Star Line, a man named Philip Franklin, was so confident that he said in front of the public, "The Titanic is unsinkable." Everyone believed it. The media wrote about it, and it became known as the ship that could never sink. Now, let's step inside the Titanic and see what made it so luxurious. Traveling on the Titanic was not just a journey, it was an experience. The ship's interiors were designed to look like a 5-star hotel. In fact, many people said that the Titanic was even better than the best hotels in the world. The wood paneling on the walls was carved by hand and polished to shine. The stained glass windows sparkled in the sunlight. There were 2 grand staircases, and one of them, the first-class grand staircase, became iconic. It was decorated with iron railings, gold details, and a beautiful glass dome above it. This staircase connected several decks and was where wealthy passengers would gather to show off their expensive clothes and jewelry. The Titanic had more than just beautiful rooms. It had facilities that were rare for ships at that time. It had a heated swimming pool, a Turkish bath where passengers could relax, an electric bath, which was considered a modern luxury, a gymnasium with exercise machines, a squash court for sports lovers, a library where passengers could read books, 2 barbershops for grooming and haircuts, and restaurants, cafes, and smoking rooms where passengers could socialize. One of the restaurants, the a la carte restaurant, was so fancy that you had to pay extra to eat there. The first-class cabins were decorated with silk curtains, elegant furniture, and the finest bedding. Even the second-class cabins were better than the first-class cabins on many other ships. The third-class cabins, though simple, were still more comfortable than those on most ships of that time. The Titanic cost $7.5 million to build in 1912, which is about $200 million today. Tickets were also very expensive. A first-class ticket cost $4,350 back then, which is like paying $100,000 today. Second-class tickets were $60, about $1,500 today, and third-class tickets were $15 to $40, around $400 to $1,000 today. The Titanic was a luxury ship, and only the rich could afford first-class tickets. When the Titanic was finally completed, people all over the world were excited. It was the biggest ship ever built, and famous actors, businessmen, and wealthy families booked their tickets months in advance. Everyone wanted to be part of the Titanic's maiden voyage, its first journey from Southampton, England, to New York City, USA. The Titanic set sail on April 10, 1912. Crowds of people gathered at the port in Southampton to see the ship off. Families waved goodbye to their loved ones, and photographers clicked pictures of the grand ship as it slowly left the dock. On board were 2,224 passengers and crew members. Some of the wealthiest people in the world were there, including Jacob Astor, one of the richest men in the world, Molly Brown, a famous socialite, Isidor Straus, the co-owner of Macy's department store, and his wife, Ida Straus. There were also immigrants traveling in third class, hoping to start a new life in America. For them, the Titanic represented hope and opportunity. The Titanic's journey started smoothly. The ship was cruising at a speed of 21.5 knots, which is about 40 kilometers per hour. Everything seemed perfect. Passengers enjoyed the luxurious facilities, relaxed in their cabins, and dined in the elegant restaurants. The weather was calm, and the sea looked peaceful. But just 2 days into the voyage, the Titanic received its first ice warning. It was a message from another ship warning about icebergs in the North Atlantic. At that time, icebergs were common in the area, especially in April, but nobody worried too much. After all, the Titanic was unsinkable, right? That's all for part 1 of the Titanic story. I hope you found this as fascinating as I did. Stay tuned for the next part, where we'll dive deeper into the tragic night of the Titanic sinking and the aftermath. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And make sure to watch the final part to uncover more of this incredible story. See you in the next video.